Good day to the BSN English for One. I am Justine Candela, and I'll be discussing the concept of the trial of Rizal under Chapter 5, Results Life, Exile, Trial, and Death. And alongside with these different individuals who had been with me to construct and to conceptualize this report, I would like to acknowledge Mr. Dizon from Sockstud, Miss Cruz from English, Miss Taban from Sockstud as well, and Miss Tadeo from Sockstud. And as we delve deeper into this discussion, every students are expected to meet these following objectives. First of which is to identify the important concepts, persons, places, institutions, historical events, and the primary and secondary sources involved in the trial of Rizal with accurate alignment to the historical discussion. Second, to classify the historical sources as primary and secondary sources using the presented examples during the discussion with accuracy. And the last one, express appreciation for the value of historical sources in understanding the importance of the trial of Rizal and its significance in the Philippine history. With that, let's try to navigate first what happened before the actual trial of Jose Rizal. What are the different events that linked Rizal as he is involved or claiming that he was involved in the uprising or in the revolutionary that had happened before. So the first major event in our Philippine history is the Cry of Balintawak, which happened on August 26, 1896. The first cry of the Philippine Revolution served as the spark for the Philippine uprising against the Spaniards. So here, the Katipunan was led by Andres Bonifacio. And Andres Bonifacio is the one who facilitated the Katipunan, and he is the one also who ignited first the revolutionary in the minds of Filipinos. Because in this recent or in this specific act, pinunit nila ang kanilang sedula. At ang pagpunit ng sedula ay naglalahad ng kanilang pagtutuligsa laban sa Spanish government. The Katipunan formally began the revolution, leading to the Spanish authorities' accusation of Rizal's involvement. Mind you, that during the cry of Balintawak, Jose Rizal is still in exile in Dapitan. He was exiled because sabi ng mga Spanish government is kailangan niyang i-recalibrate ang kanyang mind. And yeah, later on we will be analyzing kung ano nangyari sa exile niya sa Dapitan. But this is just a glimpse because this was already discussed by the previous discussion. And later on, the Battle of San Juan, nangyari ang Battle of San Juan, which happened last August 30, 1896. And here, before the actual event happened, June 1896, Pio Valenzuela met Jose Rizal sa Dapitan. Because Pio Valenzuela was sent by Andres Bonifacio to seek approval or to seek some recommendations on their plan on revolutionary against the Spanish government. Itong si Jose Rizal is, he did not agree to any form of rebellion against the Spanish government. Bakit? Kasi he believed that everything will go smoothly without losing the lives of every Filipino. Some historians claim that Jose Rizal is assimilation or he is not in favor of rebellion kasi nga gusto niya is peaceful reform. He's very much more into peaceful reform. And Rizal strongly objected, warned that Filipinos were unready, lacked sufficient firearms, and lacked training in tacticals, which could lead to a useless slaughter. This is the main reason why Jose Rizal is not in favor of dangerous or rebellion against the Spanish government. Hindi pa handa ang mga Pilipino. Wala pa tayong sufficient firearms. We do not have that enough training on how are we going to make use of these different tools. Where in the very first place, we do not have any tools or firearms against the Spanish government. That's why Andres Bonifacio declared a specific reform or a specific pagtutuligsa against the Spanish government, and they attacked first the El Polvorin in San Juan del Monte. Bakit? Para makakuha sila ng weapons, para makakuha sila ng supplies sa kanilang magiging following battle against the Spanish government. Did they succeeded? No, they did not. Although the revolutionaries were defeated, the battle intensified the uprising and prompted Governor General Ramon Blanco to declare a state of war in 8 provinces in Luzon. This includes Tarlac province. On that specific day as well, Governor General Blanco declared a state of war in 8 provinces of Luzon. And it is on that same day as well where Rey Rizal received 2 letters of introduction from Governor General Ramon Blanco. And this letter contains that he was an during his exile in Dapitan, Blanco stated that Rizal's conduct during his 4-year exile in Dapitan was exemplary and certified that he was completely unlinked to the ongoing Katipunan uprising. So, according to Governor General Ramon Blanco, walang kinalaman si Rizal sa nangyayaring gulo o tensyon sa Manila. Dahil, in the very first place, where is Rizal when they attacked the San Juan? He was in Dapitan. He is undergoing his exile. And for this recommendation as well, from Governor General Ramon Blanco, he agreed with the proposal of Jose Rizal because Jose Rizal volunteered as a physician to be sent in Cuba. As during that time, Cuba is with battle with the Spanish government as well. And at the same time, yellow fever is very dominant in Cuba way back then. And for a while. And on September 2, let me just hide this. The departure from Manila, September 2 to 3 of 1896. On September 2, 1896, Rizal was transferred from the Spanish cruiser Castilla to the commercial steamer Isla de Panay after being isolated for nearly a month. So this is the process on how did they send Rizal to Cuba. But the question is, did he really go to Cuba? Nakapdating ba siya sa Cuba para maging physician? Let's find out. He wrote a reassuring letter to his mother stating that his conscience was clear despite the chaos in Manila. So, since during this specific time, nagkakaroon ng tension between the Katipunan and the Spanish government. And he reassured his mother na wala siyang kinalaman or he has not something to do with what is currently happening in Manila. That's why in his letter to Teodora, ina-assure niya na wala siyang kinalaman na malinis ang kanyang konsensya. And on September 3, 1896, at 6 p.m., the Isla de Panay sailed out of Manila Bay, and Rizal was accompanied by his friend Don Pedro Rojas and Rojas' son, Periquin. Okay. The departure from Manila. September 7, 1896, when the ship stopped in Singapore, Filipino residents encouraged Rizal to remain there and seek protection under British authority. Because some Filipinos are concerned, bakit napakalaki ng tiwala niya kay Governor General Blanco? Because according to Governor General Blanco is that he concluded that the exile in Dapitan of Jose Rizal is exemplary. And that's why he also approved his request to volunteer himself as a physician to be sent in Cuba. And this decision reflects Rizal's integrity and commitment to keeping his words even though it eventually led to his final arrest or to his arrest and trial. So, I thought na merong agreement or we thought that there is an agreement between Jose Rizal and Governor General Blanco. Then how come there is a political deception? While the ship was crossing the Mediterranean Sea, Rizal discovered that Governor General Ramon Blanco had secretly betrayed him. Although Blanco had allowed Rizal to serve as a volunteer doctor in Cuba, he had also informed Spanish authorities in Madrid that Rizal was a dangerous leader of the Philippine Revolution. So there's a deception, even though that they have agreed that Jose Rizal will be sent to Cuba. But that is just a tragic backdrop on their intention or the intention of the Spanish government to finally arrest Jose Rizal. Bakit nila gustong mangyari to outside the country? Because they do not want to create tension in the Philippines. That's why they planned Jose Rizal to be sent in Cuba para kapag away na sila in the country of the Philippines, doon nila i-execute ang kanyang pagkakadakip. Spanish authorities accused Rizal of inspiring the revolution through his writing and reform movement, even though there was no evidence that he planned or led the armed uprising. So during this time, as I have mentioned earlier, that there is an uprising or there is a revolution between the Spanish government and at the same time the Katipunan. And the Spanish government accused Jose Rizal being responsible to it because of his writing, because of his reformed movement. Because Jose Rizal is one of the writer in the La Liga Filipina, and the La Liga Filipina is divided into two groups right after its downfall. We have the Katipunan and the consent. Wait lang. Let me just be mindful of the correct terminologies. We have one that wants to perform or wants to continue in peaceful reform, and the other one who wants to continue the La Liga Filipina into a revolutionary act. And with that, on September 30, 1896, as the ship approached Malta, the Spanish government ordered the captain to place Rizal under arrest. Nakadating siya ng Cuba? He did not, because on their sail to Malta, he was already under arrest. Rizal was taken to Barcelona, briefly imprisoned at Montjuic Castle, and later sent back to Manila aboard the transport ship SS Cristobal Colon. And he arrived in Manila on November 3, 1896, where he was brought before a military tribunal. So, how come that hindi husgado ang kikilatis kay Rizal? Bakit military tribunal? Because before or even before the pre-trial, they already accused Rizal in what do you call this one? In major charges, and that includes execution. Bakit gigil na gigil ang mga Espanyol na patayin si Jose Rizal? Magkakaroon ba tayo ng history repeat itself or wala? He arrived in Manila on November 3, 1896, where he was brought before a military tribunal. The trial ultimately resulted in his execution on December 30, 1896, under Camilo de Polavieja. So, why did Spain arrest Rizal in the first place? Let's discuss this using these three key points. First, Spain believed that Rizal's novel titled No Limitangere and El Filibusterismo and some of his essays and leadership in La Liga Filipina had inspired Filipinos to revolt. So, was there a concrete information or was there a concrete evidence on Jose Rizal's actual participating in revolutionary? There was no, because Spain just believed that because of his writings and because of his essays, and at the same time, the way how he constructed the bylaws of the La Liga Filipina, it ignited the patriotism and nationalism Jose Rizal ignited the patriotism and nationalism in the mind of every Filipinos. Although Rizal consistently denied participating in the armed rebellion and had left the Philippines, with official permission, Spanish authorities considered him a political threat. So in the very first place, that's why they are very eager to kill Jose Rizal, because he is a political threat to the Spanish government. Rather than allowing him to continue to Cuba, they intercepted him and brought him back to face charges of rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy. So even before the trial, there's already a predetermined charges for Jose Rizal. Kasi gusto nilang mapapatay si Jose Rizal. Kasi nga, Jose Rizal is a big threat to the Spanish government. Then here comes the preliminary investigation. The preliminary investigation started on the transmission of Rizal's case record that could be traced back on November 1896. After Rizal was transferred to Fort Santiago upon his arrival on November 3, he was imprisoned there for almost 2 weeks. Colonel Francisco Olive transmitted his case records to begin formal legal action. And this marked the official start of the judicial process against Rizal. And at this point, Rizal was presented with 15 documentary evidence that the prosecution would use as a evidence. And alongside with this 15 documentary evidence, there's also a 13 testimonies. And these 13 testimonies, some of which or most of 13 testimonies here came from Katipuneros. So how come? The preliminary investigation started November 20, 1896. And the preliminary investigation was the opening phase of Rizal's legal proceeding after his arrest and imprisonment at Fort Santiago for 2 weeks. And during this stage, the charge against him were formally explained, and both documentary and testimonial evidence were presented. Here, the testimonial evidence of or the testimonies of these 13 individual persons are not or hindi consider kung paano ito nangyari or hindi kinonsidera ang due process on this one. It could be motivated or it could be motivated by threat. It could be motivated by pride. There is no clear reason bakit minamadali ang testimonies or bakit kailangan patago ang pagbibigay ng testimony against Rizal. And this set the foundation of his subsequent trial before his Spanish military court. Okay. So in the opening of the preliminary investigation, and the investigation officially opened with the presentation of evidence against Rizal. There are 15 documentary evidence and 13 testimonial evidence. Together, these form the basis of the charges that would be brought to trial. Keep in mind that these documentary evidence are not yet completed. And according to the sources and according to the judge, that it was still in Laguna. There are just 12 available resources during that time. It is not yet 15. It is not yet complete. It was still in Laguna during that time. And nung tinanong kung kailan pwede makumpleto ang mga evidence na ilalahad kay Rizal, it could be traced back or it could be completed should I say, April 1898. Bakit parang napakatagal pa? And hindi na nila in-undermine or hindi na nila masyadong inisip kung kailan makukompleto ang evidence. Basta, gusto ng Spanish government mapapatay si Rizal. Because according to them, Rizal is indeed a big threat to the Spanish government. These are the 15 exhibits. The 15 exhibits did not directly prove that Rizal organized or led the revolution. Later on, we will be reading these 15 exhibits kung bakit sinasabi natin na hindi naman siya ang nag-organisa. Hindi naman siya kasama sa pagre-revolusyon against the Spanish government. Instead, they were used to build a pattern of circumstantial evidence, showing that Rizal's writings, correspondence, and associations has inspired the rebellions. Ulitin ko, his writings, his correspondence, and his associations only inspired the rebellion. There is no specific information, there is no specific evidence that will prove that Jose Rizal actually planned the revolution, that Rizal actually financed the revolution, that Rizal eventually formulated the revolution against the Spanish government. Because in the very first place, Jose Rizal is very much more into peaceful reform rather than rebellion. The prosecution argued that Rizal's influence over reformists and revolutionaries made him responsible for the uprising, even without direct involvement. So, parang eager na eager. Hindi parang, eager talaga itong mga Spanish government na idiin si Rizal, na ipapatay si Rizal. Kasi nga, even though there is no evidence, there is no concrete evidence that will prove that Jose Rizal is actually the mastermind behind the revolution. But according to the Spanish government, according to the Spanish government, he's the one who ignited the patriotism and nationalism he ignited the patriotism and nationalism in the mind of every Filipinos. That's why may nangyaring revolusyon. Kaya may nangyaring pagtutuligsa against the Spanish government. Here are the different documentary evidence presented. First of which, the letter of Antonio Luna to Mariano Ponce, and this contains the reflection of Rizal's connection with Filipino reformists and members of the propaganda movement. So this is just a purely connection. There is no specific evidence or there is no specific information that he told that every connection in that specific platform or that specific propaganda, wala siyang sinabi na kailangan nating magtanim or kailangan nating tumiligsa against the Spanish government. There is no information like that in the first documentary evidence. Second, Rizal's letter to his family. Rizal discussed how deportations and abuses could increase hatred towards Spanish colonial rule. Of course, bakit nga ba siya sumulat ng ganito sa kanyang mga kapamilya? Kasi he himself and his family first-hand experience the cruelty and hypocrisy of the Spanish government. Third, letter of Marcelo H. del Pilar to Diodato Arellano, used to associate Rizal with the reform movement and its nationalist activities. The fourth one, the Kundiman. kundi man is a patriotic poem presented as evidence of Rizal's love of country and opposition to colonial oppression. So, bakit nila tinutulig or bakit nila ginagamit against Rizal ang kanyang writing or ang kanyang mga nasusulat o mga nalikhang tula, nobela at even ang kanyang mga essay? Though it is very evident that in most of his essays and most of his novels and poems, it's about the hypocrisy of the Spanish government because it is happening. But hindi nakalakad doon or there is no specific word there that he is igniting na kailangan natin magrebelyon o tumuligsa sa mga Spanish government. Letter of Carlos Oliver, presented to portray Rizal as a respected figure whom some Filipinos viewed as capable of contributing to the liberation of the Philippines. Haba ba to? 15 evidence. 6. Masonic document used to connect Rizal with Freemasonry and its liberal and anti-colonial ideas. 7. Letter signed Dimasalang. We all know that Dimasalang is used as the pseudonym or pen name of Jose Rizal. And this letter was used to associate himself with activities supporting Filipinos opposed to Spanish rule. 8. Letter from Dimasalang to a committee used to suggest Rizal's involvement in patriotic and nationalist activities. 9. Anonymous letter to the Hong Kong Telegraph, presented to show the support and recognition Rizal received from Filipinos abroad. And the 10th one, letter from Ildefonso Laurel to Rizal, used to demonstrate Rizal's influence and reputation among Filipino. Let's just read these different documentary evidences because in the very first place, kahit ipresenta or kahit na i-dissect natin itong 15 evidence na to, at the same time, the 13 testimonies, walang specific information na makakapagpatunay that Rizal literally planned a revolution. 11. Letter from Rizal or Rizal Segundo, presented as evidence of Rizal's communication with reformists, supporters, and political associates. 12. Letter of Marcelo H. Del Pilar to Don Juan A. Tenluz, used to associate Rizal with leaders and activities of the reform movement. 13th. Speech of Pinkian, Emilio Jacinto, used to suggest the influence of Rizal's ideas on revolutionary leaders and the Katipunan. 14th. Speech of Tiktik, presented to suggest that revolutionary ideas reflected themes associated with Rizal's writings and influence. Lastly, poem, Lawang Laan. Since Lawang Laan was also a pen name of Jose Rizal, it was used to associate him with patriotic ideas and resistance to colonial oppression. So, was there an information provided that Jose Rizal really want a revolution? There is no information, there is no evidence. It is just purely his writings. It is just purely the experiences of Rizal through his writings. Next, these are the different testimonial evidence witnesses presented against Rizal. Mind you, some of which are Katipunero. First of one, Martin Constantino. Martin Constantino is a police in Bulacan. And according to the records that in testimony of Martin Constantino, he mentioned to the Spanish government that he wants to massacre or to plan a massacre against the Spanish government. And upon after being successful in the massacre, he wanted himself to become a leader of the Philippines. Merong basis? Wala. Kasi here in the testimonial evidence is nangyari ito ng patago. Hindi maaring it could be driven by bribe, it could be driven by threat, na kapag hindi ka nagsalita against Rizal, papatayin kita. At kapag hindi ka nagsabi ng mga something na makakasira kay Rizal, papatayin kita or ikukulong kita. Next, Aguedo del Rosario. Aguedo del Rosario is a bookbinder in Mindoro. And according to him, Rizal is considered as what? The honorary president of the Katipunan. How come that he became the honorary president of the Katipunan? Kasi according to the testimony of Aguedo del Rosario, nakasabit daw ang kanyang litrato sa mga pagpupulong ng mga Katipunan. And later on, we will be analyzing kung ano yung mga defense point ni Jose Rizal. And these are just the two testaments or testimonies of 13 testimonial evidence presented to Rizal. And when we combine these 15 pieces of evidence and at the same time 13 testimonies, Outcome of the preliminary investigation. The preliminary investigation concluded that the charges formally explained and all evidence on record. The gathered evidence then moved to the next phase, which is the Judge Advocate General's recommendation and the military trial. Bakit kailangan ng military trial? Bakit hindi pwedeng idaan sa hukuman? Kasi ang charges against him is sedition. Ang charges against him is he planted the rebellion. Kaya ang maghuhukom o maglilitis sa kanya ay ang military trial. An historical view of this specific event, most historians considered the evidence insufficient. For a while, my laptop is low bat. Okay, going back. An historical view of this specific events that most historians consider the evidence insufficient. It showed Rizal was a reformist, writer, and nationalist. He is not responsible or he is not the one to be blamed why there is a revolution because in the very first place, the evidence and the testimonies are just showed that Rizal is a reformist. He's a writer and he is a nationalist. He is not the one who planted or who planned for revolution. But the trial is widely regarded as politically motivated, relying on circumstantial evidence rather than the direct proof of guilt. So ibig sabihin, even before and during the Spanish government, of course, it is existent na merong hypocrisy within the government. Kasi nga gusto nila na mapasa kanila ang Pilipinas. Yet, there's this specific person, there's a lot of individual who is against with it. And Rizal is one of which. Kahit sabihin natin na hindi siya nakikisama or hindi siya isa sa mga naggusto ng revolusyon, but eventually later on, we will be analyzing it based on the last poem he had written during his or before the day of his execution. Next, the recommendation before the trial. These are the different findings or these are the recommendations based from the evidence provided, based from the testimonies provided in his pre-trial. The recommendation before the trial, Captain Dominguez reports summarized findings forwarded to higher authorities, and Judge Advocate General Don Nicolas de la Peña reviewed the report and evidence, then issued the following recommendations. First, Rizal must be immediately sent to trial. Bakit kaya? Second, he must be held in prison under necessary security. Third, his properties must be issued with order of attachment and as indemnity Rizal had to pay 1 million pesos. So pagsasama-samay na kanyang mga properties hanggang magkaroon or mag-value ito ng 1 million pesos bilang kabayaran sa kanyang charge. Fourth, instead of a civilian lawyer, only an army officer is allowed to defend Rizal. And these recommendations closed the preliminary stage and move the case to formal charges. It is now the time na magkakaroon ng trial right after Christmas. Following the recommendations of Judge Advocate General Don Nicolas de la Peña, the legal proceedings against Dr. Jose P. Rizal formally moved to the next stage. And these recommendations completed the preliminary stage of the proceedings and prepared the case for the formal reading of the charges before the Spanish military court. So here are the formal charges against Rizal. On December 1st, 1896, the formal charges against Jose Rizal were formally read to him inside his prison cell at Fort Santiago with his defense counsel, Lieutenant Luis Taviel de Andrade. And he was accused of these three napakabigat na mga paratang na binabato sa kanya: rebellion, sedition, and illegal associations. And the penalty for these three different crimes are life imprisonment to death for rebellion and sedition, correctional imprisonment, and a fine of 325 to 3,250 pesetas for illegal associations. Then here comes the trial in defense of Jose Rizal. Lieutenant Luis Taviel de Andrade is one of the list provided to him nung panahong binigyan ng authority or panahong binigyan ng will si Jose Rizal na pumili ng kanyang defense counsel. And for the record, Jose Rizal was presented, but let me just find the exact number here in my notes. He was presented 106 names na kanyang pipili siya ng isa doon para kanyang maging defense counsel. And he selected Luis Taviel de Andrade. Because Luis Taviel de Andrade is the brother of the bodyguard who was with Jose Rizal. And the actual trial happened last on December 26, 1896. And there is a joke between the historians here. Before the actual trial, they even greeted Jose Rizal. Belated Merry Christmas. The trial of Rizal took place on December 26, 1896, before a Spanish military court composed entirely of alien military officers, despite the fact that Rizal was a civilian. Rizal's case had already been prejudged even before the trial began. So ibig sabihin, what's even the sense of the actual trial if it was already prejudged, if it was already predetermined that they want to execute Jose Rizal? Bakit kailangan pa ng actual trial? Syempre, for the show, di ba? And going back, as the military court had effectively convened not to weigh his guilt or innocence fairly, but to accuse and condemn him. So, this actual trial is hindi para pakinggan ang side ni Rizal, but para idiin na kailangan na niyang mamatay. Bakit? Sabi nga ng mga Kastila, napakalaking tinik ni Jose Rizal sa kanilang pananakop sa bansang Pilipinas. Despite the odds stacked against his client, Lieutenant Luis Taviel de Andrade, Rizal's military appointed defense counsel, worked tirelessly to persuade the members of the military court not to sentence the accused to death. Di ba? Pinaglalaban niya na kailangan hindi na patayin si Jose Rizal. Kaya he worked tirelessly with the evidence, with the information that he could gather to present it to the court. But before the actual presentation of the defense counsel of Jose Rizal, it was already predetermined. Kailangan patayin si Jose Rizal. 12-point defense of Jose Rizal. Mind you, that this 12-point defense of Jose Rizal is pinagdudahan pa kung kailan pa nila tanggapin. But following Andrade's defense, the court gave Rizal the opportunity to speak for himself, pero hindi sinabi na papakinggan ang kanyang 12-point defense system. Rizal then confidently read a supplementary defense composed of these 12 points. First, as testified by Pio Valenzuela, Rizal was against rebellion. So, mind you that Pio Valenzuela is also one of the testimonies or also one of the giver of the testimonies against Rizal. And according to his testimonies, against siya sa rebellion. So how come they are linking Jose Rizal in rebellion in the very first place? Second, he had not written a letter addressed to the Katipunan compromising revolutionary elements. Wala siyang ni isang element na gusto niyang revolutionary or kailangan ng revolution against the Philippines and the Spanish government. Why? In the very first place, what's the essence of Jose Rizal? Why he is against revolutionary? Because he was for peaceful reform. Third, without his knowledge, his name was used by the Katipunan. If her ally was guilty, he could have escaped while he was in Singapore. So, malinis ng kanyang konsensya. Bakit hindi pa siya tumakas nung siya ay nasa Singapore kung may kinalaman siya sa rebellion na nangyayari sa Pilipinas? And mind you, wala rin sa kanyang consent na gamitin ang kanyang pangalan bilang code, ang kanyang picture na bilang honorary president ng Katipunan or anything, wala siyang consent or walang pinaalam sa kanya na pwede siyang gamitin sa part ng pagre-rebellion. Fourth, if he was guilty, he should have left the country while in exile. Mind you, in 4 years of exile in Dapitan, wala siyang ginawa, never pumasok sa kanyang isipan na tumakas. Bagkus, nag-work siya or he considered himself as a volunteer in Dapitan. He volunteered himself as a farmer. He volunteered himself as a teacher. And he volunteered himself as a physician. And in Dapitan as well, kung saan niya nakilala ang kanyang pinakasalan na si Josephine Bracken. Okay, going back. If he was guilty, he should have left the country while in exile. He shouldn't have built a home, bought a parcel of land, or established a hospital in Dapitan. Fifth point, if he was really the leader of the revolution, the revolutionists should have consulted him. But did they consulted him? No, they did not. Because in the very first place, nung nagkakaroon ng revolusyon, nasan si Rizal? Nasa Dapitan. 6. He did not deny that he wrote the bylaws of the La Liga Filipina. But to make things clear, the organization was a civic association, not a revolutionary society. And after na matatag ang La Liga Filipina is nabuwag din siya. And dito na pumasok yung tinatawag nating radicals and conservatives. If I'm not mistaken, if it, I just can't read my penmanship, but I'll be discussing this or I'll be opening this as well if I'm given a chance to explain myself during the face-to-face meeting or in our online class. Going back, after the first meeting of La Liga, the association vanished because of his exile in the Pican. Thus, did not last long. 8. The La Liga was recognized or organized 9 months later, he had no idea about it. Wala na siyang kinalaman sa kung paano nabuo ulit ang La Liga Filipina because he was in exile. And if the La Liga had a revolutionary purpose, then Katipunan should not have been organized. 10th, if the Spanish authorities found his letters having bitter atmosphere, it was because in 1890, his family was being prosecuted, resulting to their disposition of properties and deportation of his brother-in-law. This is the reason why most of his letters or most of his essays is more on the content of hypocrisy of the government or hypocrisy of the Spanish government. Kasi he himself witnessed and he himself experienced the hypocrisy of the Spanish government. 11, he lived an exemplary life in Dapitan. Ito ang sinasabi rin ng or Governor General or the Governor General that I have mentioned earlier. He lived an exemplary life in Dapitan. The military commanders and missionary priests in the province could attest to that. Pwede niyang patunayan ng claim na to, pwede patunayan ng politico-military and at the same time, the missionary priest in Dapitan na payapa ang kanyang exile sa Dapitan. Lastly, in his 12-point defense system or 12-point defense of Jose Rizal, if according to witnesses, the speech he delivered at Doroteo Ong Junco's house had inspired the revolution, then he want to confront these persons. Bakit hindi hinayaan ni Rizal na makasalamuha or ma-meet itong mga individuals na nagbigay ng testimony against him? Bakit kailangan patagong magbigay ng testimony itong mga different individuals or itong 13 individuals against Jose Rizal? If he really was there for the revolution, then why did the Katipunan send an unfamiliar emissary to him in Dapitan? It is so because all his friends were aware that he never advocated violence. But regardless of these different defense points of Jose Rizal, the verdict of the military court, Rizal's appeal was ultimately dismissed by the military court that had tried him. Rizal had already been deemed guilty even before the trial began, as the military court had convened not to provide him with justice, but to accuse and condemn him. It was on the same foundation of prejudgment that his appeal was struck down, and the members of the military court agreed to convict Jose Rizal, sentencing him to death after only a brief deliberation. The decision of the court-martial was then handed down to Governor General Camilo G. de Polavieja, who had replaced General Ramon Blanco as Governor General of the Philippines and had received Rizal's case on December 13, 1896. And there's also an inside joke of historians on this. Kasi kapag si Blanco raw ang Governor General during that time at hindi pinalitan ni Polavieja, baka hindi binaril o hindi pinapatay si Jose Rizal. Kasi sabi ng mga historian, mas mabait daw di hamak si Blanco kaysa kay Polavieja. But that is just an inside joke. It is still to us to believe, or it is still to us to know or to navigate what's the truth behind it, because our using of the different information or using of the different reliable sources that we could trace on this specific presentation. Next, with the confirmation of the sentence, Governor General Camilo G. de la Polavieja formally signed the decision of the court-martial on December 28, 1896. Anong nakapaloob? Officially approving the execution of Jose Rizal. And this is how it went, or this is what the verdict or the decree reads. The 28th of December 1896 in Manila. In accordance with the preceding opinion, I approve the court-martial's decision in this case, which imposes the death penalty on the accused Jose Rizal Mercado, which will be carried out by shooting him at 7 a.m. on the 30th of this month in the Bagumbayan field. And with this decree, the execution of Jose Rizal was thereby ordered to take place by firing squad at the Bagumbayan Field at 7 o'clock in the morning on December 30, 1896. And yeah, of course, kung sino man ang isa sa masasaktan sa verdict ng military or ng batas militar ay ang kanyang nanay, Teodora Alonso's appeal for clemency. On December 28, 1896, after finding out that Jose Rizal will be shot to death at the Balintawak pa? At the Bagumbayan, should I say? I'm so sorry. She explained her son had been sentenced by the court-martial to the extreme penalty of rebellion, an offense which she believed had not been conclusively proven. Napatunayan ba na mayroong rebellion o guilty si Rizal sa rebellion? Hindi. There is no specific evidence or there is no specific information that could link Rizal as the mastermind behind the rebellion, that he wants a revolution. She expressed her absolute certainty in the innocence of her son, describing him as a victim of fate and unlucky circumstances. And Teodora Alonso's appeal for clemency, she was careful not to question the legality of the tribunal decision, should I say, calling it as a just tribunal. She reminded Polavieja that Rizal had already suffered 5 years of exile, 4 years of exile to be particular. She begged him to take pity on the grief of a poor mother and grant commutation of the death sentence. He is appealing na kahit wala ng death sentence para sa aking anak, kasi he suffered a lot during his exile. Pero hindi naman nag-suffer si Rizal sa kanyang exile. Marami siya natutunan doon. Ano bang ibig sabihin or ano nga bang main purpose kung bakit may exile? Kung bakit gusto nilang ipatapon si Rizal sa dapitan? Because we all know that Rizal's life is circumambulated with the different connections, with the different, what they call this one, movement. Pero gusto nila na parang i-recalibrate ang kanyang mind. Let me just read my note. The goal of exile was to tame him so that he would be less likely to entertain ideas of subversion. Pero yeah, during his exile, napakaganda ng kanya naging pamumuhay. Nakapagpatay siya ng hospital, naging teacher siya, naging doktor, naging magsasaka. Going back to the Teodora Alonso's appeal for clemency. Pinanigan? Pinakinggan? Hindi. Despite her plea, the appeal did not change the outcome. Rizal was executed as scheduled at Bagumbayan. And Rizal's farewell message, of course, si Rizal, hindi niya masyadong inisip ang pagpapatay sa kanya. Pagkus, ginamit niya ang natitirang panahon or he made use of the remaining time, remaining days, remaining hour, remaining minute to write some farewell messages. And also, in this very short period of time where Rizal wrote the Mi Ultimo Adios. First letter, para sa kanyang mail-to-mail lover, sabi ng mga historian, pero hindi. Rizal's farewell message, December 29, 1896 to Ferdinand Blumentritt. When you receive this letter, I shall be dead. I shall be shot tomorrow at 7 o'clock. But I am innocent on the crime of rebellion. I am going to die with a clear conscience. Conscientia. Farewell, my best, my dearest friend, and never think ill of me. And on the eve of the execution, December 29, 1896, Rizal wrote his final poem, later titled Mi Ultimo Adios. Paano na-publish ito? Di ba napaka-stricto ng batas militar pagdating kay Rizal? Siyempre, kahit gaano ka-strict ang batas militar, matalino si Jose Rizal. Patago niya itong nilagay sa alcohol stove, which he gave it to Trinidad nung nagkaroon ng visitation when Trinidad alongside with Teodora or alongside his mother visited Jose Rizal before the actual execution. And according to Jose Rizal, English niyang sinabi kay Trinidad na merong something or there is something inside this. And itong si Trinidad is that binigay niya itong tula kay Andres Bonifacio, and then Andres Bonifacio translated it and provided a specific copy of this specific poem to all Filipino individuals. And there, mapatunayan or parang nakalahad doon that he will support rebellion. If I'm not mistaken, it is just a narrative from the historian on the Mi Ultimo Adios. But going back, regardless of which, here is the letter to Pasiano. Pasiano is brother of Jose Rizal, and now I am about to die, and it is to you I dedicate my last lines, to tell you how sad I am to leave you alone in life, burdened with the weight of the family and our old parents. Binasa ko tong letter na to, niyak talaga ako. Pero in my presentation, I will not cry kasi nga, pangilang beses ko nabasa to eh. But yeah, this is the content of Jose Rizal's letter to Pasiano. He felt sorry because the burden will be lived or the burden will be carried on by Pasiano. Both the burden of both the burden of Jose Rizal's actions, both the burden of or even the burden of his old parents. Next, December 30, 1896, the Rizal's letter to his family, just an hour and a half before his actual shooting. I beg your forgiveness for the grief I caused you. But one day or another, I had to die. And it is worth more to die today in the fullness of my faculties. Dear parents, brothers, sisters, give thanks to God who has kept me tranquil before my death. I die resigned, hoping that with my death they will leave you in peace. Ah, it is better to die than to live in suffering. And on 6 a.m., as a soldier, we're getting ready for the death of Jose Rizal to Bagumbayan. Rizal wrote his letter to his beloved parents. My beloved father, pardon me for the pain with which I repay you, for sorrows and sacrifices, for my education. I did not want it, nor did I prefer it. Goodbye, father, goodbye. To my very dear mother, 6 o'clock in the morning. Preparen, apunten, fuego. Rizal was shoot to death. But before his actual or before the firing squad, bago siya barilin ng firing squad, he requested something. Sabi niya, gusto kong tanggalin ang aking blindfold. Sabi niya, gusto kong kumarap sa kung sino man ang babaril sa akin. Isa lang pinagbigyan doon, tinanggal ang kanyang blindfold, pero nakatalikod siya. And then he also requested, kung babarilin siya sa likod, patagos sa kanyang dibdib. Bigyan din yon, doon lang siya binaril. And mind you, the firing squad during that time were all Filipinos. And nasa likod ng mga Filipinos ay ang mga firing squad ng mga Spaniard. Kasi nga, baka mamaya din nila barilin si Rizal, baka mamaya magkaroon ng tension. Kaya, mas maganda lang sure, di ba? Kasi that's the intention why bakit nila minadali ang trial ni Rizal? Gusto nilang mamatay si Jose Rizal kasi nga Jose Rizal is a big threat in the Spanish government. And did the history repeat itself? Yes. Ganito ang nangyari noon sa Gumburza nung pinapatay or pinabitay sila. Hindi natakot ang mga Pilipino bagkus the eagerness or the patriotism and nationalism ignited in their mind and in their heart. Same goes here in the execution of Jose Rizal. Natakot ba ang Pilipino? Gusto nilang gamitin si Jose Rizal para magbigay ng threat na papatay nila ang kung sino mang tutuligsa sa Spanish government. Natakot ba ang Pilipino? No. This just fueled the eagerness of these different Filipinos to stand or to stood against the Spanish government. And mind you, sinabi rin ito ni Lieutenant ng kanyang defense counsel na hindi matatapos sa pagpapatay kay Rizal ang kanilang gustong mangyari sa bansang Pilipinas sa mapa sa kanila. Bagkus, this will just fuel to the mind and heart of the Filipinos that they should stood against the Spanish government. And the conclusion of Jose Rizal's trial reminds us that Jose Rizal's trial marked the final chapter of his campaign for peaceful reforms under Spanish colonial rule. Throughout the proceeding, Rizal consistently denied participating in the Philippine Revolution. He did not participate and he did not what do you call this? He did not participate. Yeah, that's the right word. That's the right term. And Jose Rizal defended the objectives of La Liga Filipina, emphasizing that the main purpose of that specific organization is to sought peaceful reform, national unity, education, and lawful progress rather than rebellion. These are the four core values of La Liga Filipina in the first place. Nasaan ang rebellion? Wala. The Spanish military court found him guilty of rebellion, sedition, and conspiracy, based only from his writings, based only from his associations, and alleged influence over the revolutionary movement. Walang evidence, walang information ng papatunay na ginusto ni Rizal ang revolusyon. Na gusto niya, tumuligsa ang Pilipinas against the Spanish government. Kasi in the very first place, according to Jose Rizal, he is against any rebellion or any what do you call this one, any madugong pakikipaglaban para lang makamit natin ang kalayaan. He is into peaceful reform. Peaceful reform. His death sentence was approved and he was ordered to be executed at Bagumbayan, now the Luneta Park, on December 30, 1896. And his trial and execution transformed him into a symbol of peaceful resistance and inspired generations of Filipinos in their continuing struggle for freedom and national identity. And this is just a passage from the Ultimo Ojoks. I die just when I see the dawn break through the gloom of night, the herald the day, and if color is lacking, my blood thou shalt take, poured out at need for thy sake, to die with its crimson, the walking ray. And the summary of insight of this trial or this presentation, the trial of Jose Rizal. The trial of Dr. Jose P. Rizal marked the culmination of his lifelong struggle for peaceful reform under Spanish colonial rule. Although the prosecution presented Rizal's writings, letters, and associations as evidence, there is no direct proof linked him to the Katipunan uprising. The trial revealed the injustice of the Spanish colonial justice system. It demonstrated how colonial authorities suppressed reformist voices and used legal institutions to protect their rule, even against individuals who advocated peaceful change rather than violence. Rizal's courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to his principles remain an enduring source of inspiration, and his life reminds every Filipino that education, critical thinking, patriotism, and moral leadership are powerful instruments for achieving national progress and social transformation. And let's keep in mind, as we revisit Jose Rizal's life, we must keep his legacy alive. Jose Rizal may have been sentenced to death by the Spanish colonial government, but his trial ultimately strengthened the Filipino nationalist movement. His courage, integrity, and unwavering commitment to peaceful reform ensured that his legacy would live far beyond the courtroom and the execution ground. And what happened after his execution? Malalaman natin yan sa mga susunod na discussion. And that concludes our presentation. Thank you so much for listening.